Can you hear me in the back? Okay. There's an old saying, look before you leap. But I want to tell you all a story that illustrates why sometimes you just have to leap. It was my freshman year, and I decided, last minute, to audition for a show with a theater company near my house. I was already preparing a monologue from a Greek tragedy for IFA theater, and so I decided that I would just show up, recite that monologue, and see how it went. The day before the audition, the show was The Outsiders, by the way, I filled out the resume sheet, and I circled Cherry Valance as my preferred role. I knew she was a female lead, but I figured I might as well just go for it. I arrived to the theater for the audition, went in, and delivered my monologue as well as I ever had. Let me tell you what I could see from my position in the theater. There were only about 6 or 7 rows of seats, but the top 2 rows were made completely invisible by the stage lights trained on me. In the front row, there was a girl who looked to be about my age, maybe a year younger. And in the second row, an older British man congratulated me on how unique my selection was and praised my performance. Nearly as soon as the British man had finished talking, an even, strict voice emanated from the back row. It said, and I quote, "That was good. Could you do it again, but modern?" And in my head, I froze. Modern this time? It's a Greek tragedy. I was clearly not prepared to make it modern. But all I heard coming out of my mouth was, sure. So I attempted to modernize a Greek tragedy on the spot. After I'd finished, no one but the man in the back row spoke. I heard, "Thanks. One more thing. I see here you've marked your preferred role as Cherry. Would you be really willing to dye your hair red for the role?" And my response, without a pause, I said, "Of course." I turned on my heel and left the theater, and as soon as I got outside, I burst into tears. I mean, what had I just done? I totally winged my monologue, and then I told him I would dye my hair. He could have asked if I would sacrifice my firstborn, and I would have just said, "Of course." I didn't even think. A few days later, I got a phone call, and I was asked to play the role of Cherry Valance. I had done it. I showed up for the read-through that weekend, and the first person I saw was the girl who sat in the front row, who would end up being my assistant director. And the voice that had played on loop for days on end in my head came from the man that would be my director. I made some of my best friends through The Outsiders. My director is one of the most inspiring artists I know. It was my first dramatic show, and it led me to be handpicked to be a part of the cast of Columbinus, a play and experience I hold dear to my heart. So the message of my little story is this. Sometimes it's better not to look. Sometimes it's better to just go with whatever your gut is telling you to do and say, "Of course," and leap. I'm not telling you to wing your schoolwork or not prepare for a big event. But if I hadn't just done it modern, and if I actually stopped to think about whether or not I wanted to dye my hair red, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that followed. Those shows changed me. They taught me more about theater and friendship and myself than I ever expected. I was able to be a part of The Outsiders and then a play with a profound social impact because I listened to a mysterious, stern voice I couldn't even see. And sure, burst into tears and questioned why you would ever agree to dye your hair runway red later. But take that leap, because it might do for you what it did for me. Now I'd like to thank a few people. Thank you to the teachers. Over the years, you've taught me not only the subjects in your curriculum, but other lessons as well, including one I had a difficult time with, asking for help. Thank you to my coaches also for helping me be the best I can on and off the pitch. Thank you to my friends from here, from theater, field hockey, from Michigan, and from the Bahamas for having my back and always supporting me. Thank you to my sister, to my best friend. Never apologize for being yourself and keep making the world a better place. To my dad, thank you for helping me whenever I needed something artistic and for teaching me how to throw a football and for teaching me when to admit I'm wrong. To my mom, thank you for being there no matter what and your endless love and support. I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now without you guys, and I love you all so much. Thank you.